Hello, and welcome to Audible Wisdom. I hope you enjoy your listening time. Today, I would like to introduce you to Hidekazu Ozu's book, 33 Things You Don't Realize Are Important in Life Until You're on Your Deathbed. I hope it will inspire you. Often we find ourselves tied to various tasks and relationships, juggling trivial tasks every day. We spend a lot of time doing these things. But no matter how much science and medicine advances, human beings will eventually face the end of life. Since everyone will die eventually, many people have regrets when they die because they realize what's really important at the end of life. They've lost sight of what's important, and they end up feeling regret. You only live once. I hope you will remember some of the absolute most important things so that you don't have regrets at the end of your life. Today we are going to discuss 3 main points of the book. First, 3 things health enthusiasts need to be aware of to make sure they don't have any regrets at the end of their lives. Second, the 3 most important things in life that you will realize at the end of your life. Third, 5 ways to live a life you will never regret. Now, let's relax and have fun exploring the contents of this book. First, we will introduce you to the 3 things you will regret at the end of your life. Then we'll explain each one in detail. 3 things health junkies regret at the end of their lives. 1. Worrying too much about your health. 2. Being overly concerned with wealth. 3. Competing and neglecting the important things. First thing, over-attention to health. The first thing you will regret at the time of death may surprise everyone. Many people on their deathbed regret having made their health the center of their lives. Those of you watching this channel probably take your health very seriously. For health is the cornerstone of our happiness. There's nothing wrong with pursuing health in itself, but pursuing health too much can sometimes lead to regrets at the end of life. Life is cruel. In life, no matter how much we pursue health, we will eventually face various illnesses and eventually die. This is the law of life. Of course, most people who lose their health regret that they didn't pay more attention to it. The authors also point out that an overly neurotic pursuit of health can be disturbing. Are there any of you out there who have started to change your habits because a health checkup revealed an abnormality? Well, that's commendable. But has the focus on health made you lose sight of what's really important in life? As a doctor, I had a patient who was an example of this. This patient went to the gym every day and felt a great sense of accomplishment when he saw his incredibly muscular body in the mirror, which belied his age. Suddenly, however, he suffered a setback and began experiencing pain in his lower back. He was diagnosed with a malignant tumor caused by inflammatory substances released by immune cells. These inflammatory substances cause protein and fat to be broken down faster than they can be replenished. No matter how much food you eat or how much exercise you do, you continue to lose muscle. The cause isn't fully understood, and it's difficult to treat completely. Eventually, this patient realized that he was focusing too much on his health at the expense of other things. The second thing was the excessive pursuit of wealth. It's a well-known fact that we can't take money with us to the afterlife. Both the rich and the poor will be treated equally after death. The writer met a rich Mr. A and a poor Mr. B. The two were in stark contrast. Mr. A had a huge fortune, but his family relations were very tense because of it. His relatives coveted his fortune. He noticed it when they visited him, and it disgusted him. Even though he wanted to spend his last days at home, Mr. A was forced to stay in the hospital because of his property. Despite his large fortune, Mr. A did not live a happy life. On the contrary, Mr. B suffered from advanced lung cancer. Despite having high medical insurance, the cost of treatment continued to rise. Mr. B was eventually impoverished by the disease. Mr. B also has a son in elementary school. He said his son was his treasure and wanted to leave him some money. Mr. A had wealth, but died miserable. Mr. B, on the other hand, though less wealthy, lived a happy life. The third thing is to compete while neglecting the important things. People are often competitive and will do anything to get ahead. However, this competitive mindset creates doubt and fear of being beaten by others. Those who are affected by this will work at all costs in order not to lose out to others. Such people usually work long hours and have little time to spend with their families. Once a person is hospitalized after neglecting family and friends for a long time, their loneliness and sadness will be very obvious. All the other wards have visitors, but this ward has no one. An overly competitive life leaves nothing at the end of the day. When you work too hard and neglect other important things, it's time to stop and think about what's really important to you. Next, I'll go over 3 things that people only realize on their deathbed. 1. No need to exaggerate beauty or health. 2. No need to over-pursue dreams or goals. 3. There is no need to leave anything behind in this world. First, there's no need to over-pursue beauty or health. At the end of life, people realize that aging is inevitable. There's no need to focus too much on beauty or health, no matter how hard we try to stay healthy or focus on our appearance. Old age will come, and it will come quickly and relentlessly. As we get older, diseases strike us more often. For example, cervical spondylosis, tendinitis, knee arthritis, etc. For women, menopausal problems can be especially challenging. In addition, physical health problems can affect mental health. Depression is said to increase dramatically in the 50s. There is an increased risk of cognitive impairment in the 60s. As we age, many people become depressed about their health, especially those who have always focused on their appearance and health. They may be shocked when they realize they are aging and hold back as a result. In short, aging is a constant process of loss. This can bring a lot of feelings of loss. If we see this loss as negative, then our lives will continue to go downhill. It's all well and good to be young and muscular and good-looking, but that's just a youthful value. As we get older, we have to change our values. It's actually liberating. Don't think it's a loss that we can't do what we used to be able to do. We can look at the process of aging as positively as we look at the falling of a cherry blossom. So we can be more optimistic about the end of our life. We can be more optimistic about the process of aging. It's as beautiful as cherry blossoms falling. The second thing is that we don't have to pursue our dreams or goals too much. Do you have your own dreams or goals right now? If so, that's great. You can continue to work hard toward your dream or goal. But even if you don't have a dream or goal, that's okay. There is no reason to feel bad. Not everyone has to have a dream. This is the second important point we realize when we are on our deathbed. In recent years, with the rapid development of the internet, it's often said that we've entered an age where everyone can live their lives as they please. So sometimes it feels like the pursuit of dreams and goals is overly glamorized. But happiness comes in different forms for different people. Happiness doesn't come from working toward your dreams and goals. As we pursue our dreams, we experience both joy and sorrow. As we grow older, there comes a time when we cannot run as fast as we want to. At that time, those who have pursued their dreams will compare their past and present selves, falling into a sense of loss and emptiness. However, in order to feel truly happy, it is important to cherish the present moment, not to be haunted by dreams. Rather, it's important to free yourself from the shackles of your dreams. This is crucial for the final stage of life. Concentrating on what's in front of you and focusing on the present moment can really bring inner fulfillment. The third thing is to leave nothing behind in this world. May I ask you, when you are facing death, do you want to leave anything behind? Death is a terrible truth for everybody, because we realize that not only ourselves, but also the world we see will disappear. Many people try to leave their mark on the world, but the author says that we don't really need to leave anything behind. Even if we leave a mansion or a fortune, eventually we are forgotten. Even the greatest of men, once gone, will soon be replaced by someone else. The author was with a patient in his last days. The patient said that life is like a big tree. The tree starts small and grows, spreading its branches into the air. Over time, the tree grows old, its branches wither, its leaves disappear. Then the tree finally withers and returns to the ground. Soon the tree that once stood will be forgotten. This doesn't mean nothingness. The tree was just there. It's not trying to leave anything behind. If you look at it that way, a life that leaves no trace is even more touching and beautiful. We've just been discussing the things you regret at the end of life, and the things you realize are important when you're dying. I'm sure you've realized that. Whether or not you regret something at the end of your life depends on how you lived it. Whether or not we're ultimately satisfied at the end of our lives depends on how well we've lived our lives. So in the last part of this video, I want to summarize 5 ways to live a life you'll never regret. 1. Accept the irrationality and absurdity of fate. 2. Stop worrying about the meaning of life. 3. Free yourself from your obsession with sexuality and live a life of freedom. 4. Eliminate your fear of death. 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. The first is the acceptance of an unreasonable and absurd fate. As a physician, the author has been involved in many people's end-of-life experiences. He says that people often die in unexpected ways. In the large hospital where the author works, there are many people who die of serious illnesses, even young people. Those of you watching this video are very lucky, because we are all alive and well. However, there are many people who die because they could not live to be your age. Is there anything wrong with these people? Not really. Longevity or early death is just a matter of luck. So why do people die? Even with cancer, there are people who find it early enough to be saved. But there are also people who find it when it's too late. There are people who have early surgery, but their cancer comes back. There are also people who have multiple surgeries, but are saved in the end. It's often said that someone beats cancer because they're mentally tough, but the authors say that's just an afterthought. There are people who live long lives even when they have a negative attitude. And conversely, there are people who live short lives even when they try to move forward. In the end, the answer to life is luck. There are so many things in life that depend on luck. So much of life depends on luck that it's cruel to blame personal responsibility for the irrationality of it all. If you aren't born with talent, you can't be Einstein, no matter how hard you try. Likewise, without natural luck, we won't live long, no matter how hard we try. Of course, the circumstances of our birth are a form of luck. It is very lucky to be born in a peaceful country, because in some countries children can be used as terrorists or trained as soldiers. This is the case all over the world. Even a genetically strong and healthy body, such an environment can make for a short life. We live in an irrational world ruled by chance. All we can do is accept the absurdity of this world and the influence of luck on us. The only thing we can change is our attitude towards it. Human mortality is 100%. No matter how lucky you are, death is inevitable. That's why it's important to prepare for death in advance and accept the cold unreasonableness of luck. If you can feel that you can die at any time, that's the real way to live a full life. The second is to stop thinking about the meaning of life. I'd like to ask you a question. Why are you born in this world? There is no clear answer to this question. Even the philosophers of the past and present have thought about it, but it has not been solved yet. We set ourselves some fictitious and noble goals. We make them the meaning of our present life to hide the brutal truth of life, that life may not have a specific meaning. So what's the harm in looking at life as a great pastime? By looking at it that way, we can get rid of our obsession with meaning and purpose. By accepting the reality that there is no clear meaning to life, then we can relax and live a free life. The third way is to free ourselves from the obsession with sexual desire and live a life of freedom. For human beings, the fulfillment of our sexual desires brings great pleasure. When we engage in pleasurable activities, the brain releases dopamine. The release of dopamine during a good meal is about 150. With alcohol, it's between 150 and 200. Morphine is around 200. And during sexual intercourse, dopamine is released in excess of 200. In other words, sexual satisfaction is more pleasurable than alcohol or drugs. It can be said that people are slaves to pleasure substances. If we want our death to be a good one, we must let go of our sexual desires as soon as possible and achieve inner freedom. Only then can we truly live a full life. The fourth is to eliminate the fear of death. Everyone can be afraid of death. Everyone wants to live a long and healthy life. But as I said before, our human mortality rate is 100%. No matter how rich or healthy we are, death is inevitable. Fear itself is an important defense mechanism for life. Without fear of death, we might not exist. But the author mentions that some patients were able to eliminate their fear of death. These patients were so afraid of death that they were called health nuts and were more health conscious than anyone else. But then one day these patients get sick and suddenly let go of their fear of death. Fear of the inevitable is a waste of a better life, isn't it? So if we can live wholeheartedly in the present, if we can live in the present moment with all our heart and soul, we can naturally forget about death. That's the way to live life to the fullest. The fifth way is to stop comparing. This method must be completely abandoned. Most of our human worries come from comparing ourselves with others. Because we compare our wealth with others, we worry that we don't have enough money. We are dissatisfied with our current job because we compare our salary or position. We humans find it difficult to feel absolute values and prefer to see things in relative terms. This creates a comparative mindset. Comparison is not only a positive force that motivates us to improve, but also leads to negative feelings that devalue others. Comparison not only affects us, but also puts others in a bad position. Do you spend your precious time comparing yourself with others? However, death is something we all face equally. No matter how much we've compared ourselves to others, no matter how much we've tried to outdo ourselves, but when it comes to death, it's all meaningless. The way to live without regret is to stop comparing ourselves to others, to live our lives wholeheartedly. Only then can we truly feel the beauty of being alive at the end of our lives.